Come on down for another edition of the Podcast Champs with your host, Damian G. Dio, as well as Kat. And yes, this is my Price is Right voice. What up, everybody?
You got to have like the long microphone next time. Like the ridiculously, like for some reason that microphone was like 2 feet long on The Price is Right. I was like, well, shit.
Well, my man Rod Roddy. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Kat, are you old enough to know about The Price is Right?
Did Cat freeze?
I think she froze.
Oh, Cat froze.
Oh, she's back.
Oh, she's back.
Hi, Kat.
Hi.
We've got two cats.
There's two cats on our screen right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're frozen in one, looking really peaceful, and now we have you back.
Okay. Well,
while we were saying about The Price is Right, but I digress. So before we got on air, we were pretty much just taking Ronda Rousey to task because she can't skate by on, well, I'm Ronda Rousey anymore because no. Now you are not exempt from critiques. Sorry, lady. That's one. And number two, we were talking about a little bit of back in my day because it seems that a lot of people are pining for old school everything, Attitude Era, back in the 80s where the men were men and the girls weren't getting all the top billing and all the other bull crap that we all rally against here on Podcast Champs. But Dio, you brought a very interesting point about how things of yesteryear wouldn't work today. So would you like to kind of expound on that for the listeners?
Yeah. So we'll go back a couple years. So when we had the whole dive incident.
#dive.
Yeah. When, what was it, Ricochet and Will Ospreay?
Yes.
Had their match and it was just flippity. And like people were like, oh my God, they're killing the industry. Literally, those matches have been going on since pro wrestling became a thing. Like you can go back and look at old, I'm talking black and white matches where you had dudes doing springboards. Sometimes using actual springboards from the outside of the ring. But I digress on that part. So the thing is, you've got these like, what the hell? So
oh, sorry, that's Mike.
So like, what the hell?
Hold on, let me tell him to shut the fuck up. Hold on.
You were saying, Dio?
Okay, so how you have like the stuff where back in the day you were doing such and such and so on and so forth, and like you see all of these, when people were doing catch as catch can wrestling, and then it turned into scripted wrestling. And, all that type of stuff. Like, that stuff worked back then because we didn't actually know what grappling looked like.
Right.
Like, that shit doesn't work today because we have been, like, one, we know how fighting works now. So whether we've been watching boxing, kickboxing, MMA, or just straight up grappling, or if we know a little fucking chin lock isn't really doing anything to anybody. We know that it's scripted. Like when they're like, oh, selling's a lost art. It's like, no, we just know what shit looks like now. Like a lot of us watched UFC a day ago. So we know what a person getting choked out looks like. We know what those faces look like. So when we go back and look at like, Steamboat versus whomever, and he's doing because he's in a fucking chin lock. It's like he looks stupid. He looks stupid because we know what this shit actually looks like. And then the other thing is we have moved on. So if you look at fighting in TV shows and in movies in the 70s and 80s, it's very different from what it is today. Back then, you just saw dudes just whoa, and then there was a pause between every single punch. Now things aren't as static. Things are very look as sometimes realistic, but like we're a whole generation or two that grew up on like Kung Fu flicks, Power Rangers, and WCW cruiserweight stuff. Mm-hmm. So of course, if we grew up on that, we're going to incorporate that. We're going to want to see more and more of that. So like this whole thing of, oh, we got to go back to how it was. It's like, we can't, because the world's changed. Everything has changed. We do not ingest the same things that we did back in the day. Because if you go back and there's a lot of movies that just, movies, matches, there's a bunch of classic wrestling matches that folks were like, oh my God, it's a classic. You go back and watch that shit, it is boring as fuck.
Yeah.
Rest holds for 3/4 of the match, and it's just like, okay, this ain't it, bruh. This
Well,
ain't it.
to that aside, I remember back when I was younger watching Hogan Warrior, thinking it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. But
Right.
you watch it with today's lens, I guess a little bit more of an educated lens, and we're both thinking, wow, this is nothing more than a pose down and just resting on top of each other and 2 minutes of action and posing. And
Right.
yeah, it's not, no, it's
Yeah.
nothing.
Right.
So Kat, for today's wrestling fan, give me an example of something that maybe 5 years ago it wouldn't work, but it works today, like a match that you would recommend or a wrestler you would recommend.
5 years ago, like something that I've watched that like then was like whatever, but now it's a banger. Like that
Yes.
kind of deal? That's tough because like I feel like I wasn't like 5 years ago. I don't think I was looking at wrestling the same as I do now.
Okay.
Because like before it was kind of like that was cool, wow, like it was like just like spots, you know, like. I think like 5 years ago, I seriously, I think like 5 years ago, like I went to like my first like super kick party and I thought it was the fucking shit. And I was like, yeah, it's great. And like now I would be like,
Right.
And you know what? That's a good point too. The inverse of that is just things that blew your mind when you were younger,
Yeah.
or maybe it would have worked 5-10 years ago, and it just doesn't age well. You know, Dio said it before. There are movies that don't age well. There are wrestling matches, because I'm one of those people who swear that Savage Steamboat has not aged well, but people jump down my throat a lot when I bring that up, and I saw it recently.
Yeah.
I think Bret and Owen has aged reasonably well from
I
WrestleMania
think it's
10.
changed really well. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that was one of the things because like I was like, since everybody likes to make fun of me for being a child, and I like it was like you weren't around for this, and I'm like
You weren't born yet, Kat.
yeah, I wasn't born yet, so I like fuck off. So now I have to like play catch up because everybody's older than me and they're yelling at me for being a baby. So how dare you be like 5 years old when this match happened?
Right.
Yeah, you were supposed to be a mark back then. Like I can't. So like it's just like me like decked out in wrestling merch at like 5. Like I was wearing Winnie the Pooh overalls. Like I don't know.
And you would still kill that if you wore it today.
If I could find a pair, I would totally wear Winnie the Pooh overalls for sure.
Why hasn't that been made a gimmick? I don't know.
There probably has been the gimmick on the Indies.
Someone's doing it, yeah. Someone's like, they're just wrestling Winnie the Pooh.
That's all they are.
That's like some
only a red
DDT Pro
crop
would
top.
do.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love DDT Pro.
Just
Fucking love DDT Pro.
wow.
For those that don't know, DDT Pro is a pro wrestling promotion not named New Japan over in the Far East. And zany is a good word a lot of people would use to describe their matches. I call it fun because, you know, wrestling's supposed to be fun.
Yep.
No.
So if that's your bag of tricks, then I suggest you check out some DDT Pro, especially some early Kota Ibushi stuff.
Yes.
I thought was, you know, doing moonsaults in the snow kind of thing, you know, fighting on a roller coaster.
Off of everything, like setting things on fire. He pulls, like I swear to God, Kota Ibushi has like the equivalent of like a pocket dimension, like in comic books, because he fucking just pulls like Roman candles out of nowhere. Like he'll just, and you just see he's got like little booty shorts on and shit. It's like next
Just
thing
like-
you know, blah, he's got matches and he's got Roman candles. Like how did this happen, sir? I don't understand it.
He's got the MacGuffin bag. He just goes into it and just pulls it
Pretty
out.
much.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
that's
just
great.
ridiculous.
But no, I tell people just check out DDT Pro. I believe their Iron Man belt is a DDT. That's a DDT special, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
Also,
was like-
their women's wrestling is amazing as well.
Well, women's wrestling in general can be amazing, but yeah, just give it a chance to check it out. So, okay, here's a match for me that I'm worried isn't going to age well, but it still holds up okay. Sammy versus Shinsuke from TakeOver Dallas.
Oh, that was a banger.
That's a banger. That's gonna
That's a
last.
For
banger.
me, it is, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, if people look back at Shinsuke's career post NXT, just like they do with Tyler Breeze, to
Mhm.
say this was what happened to this guy. You know, he was good then, and what happened now. like I can literally say I was never impressed by Bobby Roode on NXT. He didn't do anything for me. When Almas beat Drew for the title in Houston, I was probably the only one jumping up for joy in my section, but I didn't think Drew was that big of a deal either in NXT. So there's just some people that just didn't resonate with me. But I pray and hope that Shinsuke versus Sammy resonates with people probably 5-10 years from now.
I think it will, because like it had a visceralness to it that you just don't really see too often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Like it wasn't something that was dependent on a style that was popular at a specific time, which is what a lot of those matches that people go back to and like, oh, this was amazing. It was like, yeah, it was amazing for that time.
Yeah.
Not actually, it's not like transcendent amazing. There are very few matches that like you're going to be able to go back and watch, but usually because there's like a real feel to whatever's going on. Like that feeling's not going to go away if it's done right. And in that match, it was just because you could tell like they were just going off the cuff and there was no script to it. It was just them doing it. And with the whole
banger.
Absolutely.
So good. Yeah.
And like the whole thing about like, so with the whole thing with Shinsuke, folks like, what happened to that guy? I was like, so Shinsuke and a lot of other people was like, so look at Shinsuke's matches before when he was
in New Japan.
In New Japan, like those matches are hard on your body.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like really hard on your body. And people don't tend to people always forget that. So they're, it's like, all right, look at Strong Style. Y'all love, he was the king of Strong Style. Strong style takes a huge toll on your body. And, look at, like I said, I mentioned before, Masawa died in the ring or died from injuries in the ring. And, Takayama is paralyzed. Hayabusa was paralyzed, was able to like barely walk a few months before he passed away. Shibata, look at him. He's likely never going to wrestle again. If he does, is going to be in a very limited capacity. So like maybe, just maybe, Shinsuke didn't want to do that anymore.
Makes sense.
Like sometimes shit is like you just get tired of it. Your body just needs a fucking break. Cause it's like it's not like a so pro wrestling in itself, like even if it's in the WWE, they've always said it's like the equivalent of getting into several car accidents in one night.
Yes.
So then you take Strong Style where you are doing stiff shots. You're now adding a fist fight into car accidents.
Yes.
So it's not I'm just going to go sit in some Epsom salt when I get home and do some stretches. No, that shit takes a toll on your body. There's a reason. There's a reason why fighters, like professional fighters, only fight maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And they have long camps to get their bodies ready for that shit. But pro wrestlers are doing this shit several times a week. That takes a toll on your body. You got to, like, sometimes you just got to let that shit, let it breathe. You just got to let your body breathe for a while.
So basically, I guess in summation of this point is just for those who are pining for, let's say, the wrestling classics, or the Strong Style classics that we've seen in New Japan and other promotions, we're not taking into consideration the wrestler's health here.
Right.
People never do. Yeah.
Yeah. And this goes to every sport. This is why the NFL sometimes people are retiring early. A lot of people are down on the NFL because of the league's lack of caring about the actual players themselves. So in wrestling, it's a similar thing. When was it? Somebody on Twitter recently said something to Ricochet about, remember when I tweeted that picture of Ricochet doing that random double jump moonsault thing?
Yeah, he used to be able to do the double rotation moonsaults like that. Right. He can't do that anymore because he weighs too much.
Right, and people were complaining, why doesn't he do that anymore?
Right, it's like, bro, if he was, because he was on the Stone Cold podcast, and he was like, if I tried that now, I would absolutely hurt myself. And Stone Cold was like, yeah, there's at a certain point, there's just stuff that you just don't need to do anymore. And he was like, he injured himself while he was like lifting weights one time as well, which also messed with how he can jump and rotate.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, there's certain things that he said he just can't do anymore. Like when you add mass, you add mass. So, you know, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm just going to be able to do this shit. Nah, it don't work that way. It's not how that works at all.
So let me put this question out to both of you. People who pine for, let's say, the World of Sport style of shoot wrestling, can we get that? Is that something that can be marketable and financially profitable?
I mean, look at Bloodsport. I feel like, I mean, if I could go to Bloodsport, I would go to Bloodsport, but I'm not going to be able to. So I think, I mean, there's a market for it because there's a lot of people that like shoot wrestling. Like I enjoy it. I don't want to see somebody do it like all the time. Like if it's like a once a year show, like, okay, cool. Like, but I think a promotion of just that would be like,
it's just not feasible. Yeah. Like it's the toll on people's bodies, and you know, like looking at who they have on there. Like they've got retired fighters and stuff like that. Like, you know, these are people that are like super seasoned in catch as catch can stuff, like Jeff Barnett, and like, don't they have, who else did they have on there? Was it Dan Severn?
Yeah.
So like, you know, you have people that are like legitimate grapplers, and they understand how to make legitimate holds not legitimate. And like, if you just get your run of the mill person, you know, which is like when you have an expert grappler, how they can apply a submission but it not be a submission, was why I was like, I hate Ronda Rousey's armbar in the WWE, because it's honestly just atrocious. Like,
well, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because earlier this week on Twitter, as Becky and her kind of went back and forth, you know, Ronda makes a comment about Becky's armbar, you know, with the F word of being fake.
Right.
You know, and then that sparked off a whole different conversation that really took a vivid right turn about talking about, you know, male genitalia. And then Becky tweeted something with her husband's, I guess, face on the supposed penis that was Ronda's arm. And it just crossed a whole different line. Now, in keeping with the conversation of back in our day, you know, wrestlers weren't friends.
Right.
You know, they couldn't be friends off air. So you had to treat each other as if you were dire enemies. And I guess now in the social media age, this is a way of keeping kayfabe alive by having people constantly feud. We've seen it in NXT, even though, for instance, Shayna Baszler and Mia Yim are roommates, and yet they've been trading shots, you know, on social media, even though 90% of the smart fan out there know that they live together and that they're best friends.
They're like on the couch together, just like
petting the dog, you know, like they do that.
Yeah.
You know, so Ronda and Becky, while kind of crossing many lines, it would seem to some people. I feel that this is what wrestling, those who complain about no kayfabe, this is giving them what they want, but then when wrestlers go a little too hard, people are still complaining.
Right. People don't know what they want is what it is.
Like, that's for everything.
They have like when it comes to pro wrestling, like they've got this like warped, nostalgic view of how things used to be. And it's like, this shit that never existed. The way that you guys keep on saying it did, it never existed that way. So you got to let that go. And like with the whole thing, this is something that like any of us that were like MMA fans and pro wrestling fans, with how Ronda reacted to this stuff, this is very on brand for her. And this is why people stopped liking her in mixed martial arts fandom. Because she doesn't know how to handle criticism. So like, even though this might be like scripted, she kind of lacks this thing to be able to tell whether it's real or whether it's fake. So she'll take, even if it's scripted, she'll take it personally. And it's like, yo, like you're sitting there like threatening to beat up Rebecca Quinn. It's like, for what? This is scripted. And two, Listen, Ronda, you. We saw you get knocked out twice in a row.
Twice.
We know you're a little bit chinny at this point. I wouldn't be out here picking fights with people because if you get ganged up on, you get washed. But like it was just weird. Like it crossed, like you said, it crossed so many lines, and it was just like, what's the point of this? And apparently, like WWE's okay with it, but then when Luke Harper and Tyler Breeze were going back and forth, you know, saying shit because Ronda can say shit apparently, but Tyler Breeze and Luke Harper can't, so they had to delete their entire hilarious thread going back and forth with each other. And it's like, how is it that she can have so much power when she's not doing anything for you guys? She's not bringing any eyes to you. Like, I guess they thought that she was going to like bring MMA eyes. It was like, y'all didn't even bother to check about the Phantom. We don't like her. Like we really don't like her. And like, even in like mainstream media, people at first loved the whole do nothing bitch thing. And then people were like, yo, this is actually really toxic. Probably shouldn't be rocking with this shit anymore. So it's like, they were like, oh, she's gonna bring all these eyes in, and it's like, she's not. Roman Reigns brought a fuck ton of eyes back when he came back, but Ronda she didn't. So it's like the fact that they're giving her so much power over this shit, it's just like, what? When all she's gonna end up doing is like, probably if she loses at WrestleMania, she's probably gonna retire from wrestling and then go play with her chickens and her husband. So yeah. And cry.
Kat, what's your take on all that?
I think like we said, I think wrestling fans are the most indecisive group of people that I've ever seen in my life. like I'm into comic books, I'm into video games. Like I play, unfortunately, competitive Overwatch, and I think wrestling fans are still the most confused group of people because they're like, I miss when everybody was like mean and like you could get away with this like this anti-PC shit. Nah, paid my $10, I could yell whatever I want to yell. And then it's like, but on the other hand, they're like, but I just don't think that that's a good thing to do. Like you can't expose the business. Like the business is all we have.
It's like the business. We've known that the business isn't the business for like since the middle of the 90s, bro. Like what?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think I have her muted.
Nice.
I have her muted, and then everybody was like yelling about what she was doing, and I was like, oh. So I unmuted her for like 10 seconds, and I read through it, and I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've said before, like I don't hate Ronda. I think if she wasn't the way she was, that a lot more people would like her, and like it wouldn't be as big of a deal that she's like not as good at wrestling.
Right.
But like her general energy sucks, so everybody's just like, fuck her. Like
right.
So I don't know. I think the whole like storyline with Becky and trying to fight Charlotte again, like I was like, Charlotte, you just like go somewhere else. Like she
went to Mexico.
Yeah, stay with Roosh. Enjoy yourself. Like drink tequila on a beach for the next 3 months and then come back after Mania. Because I just want them to have actually fully commit on Becky.
Right.
So it feels apprehensive, and I don't really know why, because she is over. It feels like they're trying to they're like doing like a Daniel Bryan Stone Cold hybrid story.
Yeah.
Which is like, I guess like that's like the nostalgia factor for people, but then at the same time you have to think that the same people that are asking for nostalgia hate women. So they're like, I can't believe that they're doing the exact same storyline for her. We saw this 20 years ago.
Right.
And it's like, y'all just don't, you want nostalgia, but not with her. Like who else? Who else is gonna fit your Stone Cold character at this point, because there's not anybody else on the roster that could fit this kind of character.
I think they literally want Stone Cold to come back, neck injury and all, and risk another paralysis.
That is what it is. Like that's why people pop so hard for the Undertaker. Like the Undertaker hasn't he like had both hips replaced at this point?
At least one.
Like the motherfucker is
Terminator. Yeah.
Yeah, like he is like his hair starts back here now. Like let it go. Like let it go. He is not who he used to be. He used to have like a full repertoire of moves. Now he's got like 2 that he can do on a regular basis. Like he can't
boot.
That's it. Like he can do the boot. Maybe he might be able to do the last ride and a tombstone. That's it. He's not doing old school anymore. And if he does, you see him, he gets up on the rope and he's holding their head. He's like, God damn it, I'm not getting paid.
But I mean, that goes back to our conversation from before, where it's like you killed yourself,
right,
for all that time. Like that was before we were careful about like wrestlers' health, you know,
right.
Like so. I think it's another one of those situations where it's like you destroyed your body already. Like, chill out. Like, I know you've made enough money to retire. Stop fucking around.
Right, and that's what I was gonna say. They've earned their retirement. They don't have to keep doing this. It's very reminiscent of when Ric Flair kept wrestling in TNA.
Right.
Even though Shawn Michaels retired him, he put out another couple of years in TNA, and I'm thinking,
terrible.
Y'all need to stop. You know, and I talked about this on Last Mark Standing a couple of years ago, how when we get to that nostalgia factor, what point does it get sad? You know, and I think a lot of the yesteryear fans, they see Ricky the Dragon Steamboat do one hip toss and think he could still bang out a 5-star classic.
It's like, no. And it's always it's still real to me, damn it, fans. That's who it always fucking is. It's always those dudes. And it's like, bro.
It's like seeing Sabu in 2019.
Oh, no.
Yo, did y'all see that? Did y'all see that?
Nope.
Yo, no. So he goes up and sets up the chair to do his double jump, like plancha or whatever.
Right.
He jumps off the chair and gets up on the rope and kind of balances for a second. It's like, nah, fuck this. And then he jumps back down, gets out of the ring, and then jumps off the apron. It is the and like
it's like you shouldn't be doing this anymore, dude. Like you gotta at some point you gotta hang it up. Cause like I mean he's like the worst because you're like, dude, like this guy can like barely walk and he's still out here.
Right. And like this was in Mexico too, so it was like,
oh no,
bruh, like some of them old dudes really ain't that competent anymore, and if they don't catch you, it's going bad. Like, and this is like Mexico, where it was like, oh yeah, to hide a botch, they'll just pick somebody up and throw them in the crowd. Like it's bad. So like
well, this goes back to what you were saying last week about the Mil Mascaras thing. Remember how 70 years old, still doing a diving cross body because the fans ate it up and he wants to relive in that moment his former glory.
Yo, it took him an hour and a half to get up the turnbuckle.
Well, let me bring it back here on Podcast Chance with Dio, Damien, and Kat. Do you care now, even more, even less, for Ronda versus Becky? Because I don't even care anymore.
I care about Becky. I don't care about like so who was it that brought this up the other day? I think it was Andreas Hale brought this up. And it was that with the whole so you have with Becky and Ronda, you have Becky, who is really good in the ring, but you have to have a ring general for the match to like really come together.
Right.
And that's why they have Charlotte. And I was like, that actually makes sense why they would have that. Because like when you look at Ronda's matches that she's had really good matches with, she has either had somebody that can carry her, like literally, like how with the whole Nia Jax things, like you had somebody big enough to where she's going to be able to bear the brunt of the offense. And then whether it was like the intergender matches and, you've got Triple H and shit like that, or with Ruby, like Ruby is absolutely like a ring general. She gets all of this.
Yes.
So like, it makes sense for Charlotte. Like Becky and Charlotte would be awesome. But Becky and Ronda, I was like, I would be more excited for Becky to take the title off her than anything else. I'm not really excited for the actual match because it's like I don't know. There's something about how like Ronda just bumps and like it's just all loose. Like, have you ever? All right. So you know when you like buy a turkey for Thanksgiving and you let it defrost and like you pick it up and like you shake it and the legs are just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah,
that's Ronda. So when she did like somebody to backslide on her, and like when you do a backslide, there's a way like you can tell wrestlers when that have been doing this for a long time, legs tend to like be stiff and like act in a certain way. Her legs were just kind of like all over the place, and she was like falling off. And like this, just like while it does bring like a semi-realness to it, it's just like this doesn't look right. It looks weird to me, and I don't like it.
I'm just trying to get over the fact that you essentially called her a dangling turkey.
I mean, yeah, that's why I'm like like uncooked.
I mean, hey, if the hue fits,
if the
because it's the same hue. So, but at any rate, yeah.
So, Kat, do you care about the match?
I think I don't know, because like me and Mike were talking about it, and Mike was like, I feel like Charlotte's there to eat the pin, and they're not going to give us the Becky win at Mania, and I got really upset, and I was like, you better be wrong, because if you're not wrong, I might cry.
As long as we got a Kofi win, that's all I really care.
That's all that really matters. Yeah. I'm not so much excited for the match. And so, as much as I love Becky, like Becky is not like super athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's a good wrestler, but like she's bless her heart, she tries to go up on the top turn, and she's like, "Oh, second rope, just kidding." And I don't blame her because I'd probably be the same way. But like, I think if they have like a ground-based match,
right, like an actual wrestling match.
Yeah, like if they haven't, the actual wrestles, yes, that would be good. But I don't know. I wanted to win. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to main event. For. Yeah, I wanted to main event because I just want a women's main event at this point. And I want Becky to win. And that's all that I know. Because the match is kind of be like, it's going to be good, but it's not going to be like probably anything that's going to be like legendary.
Well, no, it'll probably be along the lines of more spectacle than actual match. And I'm not comparing these two women to this match, you know, in terms of ring acumen. But remember when Rock wrestled Hogan and they had like that double turn during the match? It wasn't a great match by any stretch of the imagination, but the moment outshone the match, you know, of these two icons of the sport, wrestling. Now, I'm not calling Ronda or Becky icons by any stretch of the imagination, but they have grabbed most of the wrestling fans' attention. So when they come face to face, even if Charlotte's there to eat the pin, Cat, like you said, there will be a moment where I guess a Hogan Andre stare down at some point between the two of them. And the place is going to erupt. Jersey's going to lose their damn mind when it happens. I think that's what most of us as wrestling fans are waiting for when they get their hands on each other. And WWE's probably going to play that off as long as humanly possible in the match itself. Like they're probably going to stomp a mud hole in Charlotte because she talks trash to both of them.
Right.
You know, like nobody wants you here, Charlotte. Bang, take that, you know. But the moment when Becky and Ronda finally tangle, I think that's when people are really waiting for. Right. The match itself for me is inconsequential. Becky, you give her the title, make her the main event on Raw until Roman's back in the swing of things. I can see that happening. I don't want WWE to push Roman to the main event spot just because it'll be like a overcoming the odds a la Cena, you know, type of thing. So this match does deserve to main event. I think all three women have done, as much as I'm not a fan of Ronda Rousey, the person, you know, she, for me, is intriguing to watch in the ring. I get the Kurt Angle comparisons on one hand.
I don't get them at
No,
all.
I get them, but I don't agree with them. I
I
understand
don't
why
even
people
get
are
it.
coming from.
I don't even understand where people are coming from because it doesn't match. Like the resume, like it's there's only two things. They were both Olympians. That's it. Like Kurt Angle was a natural. Ronda Rousey has had like the biggest people in the world, the most experienced people in the world carrying her. So it's like it's not even close to being the same. It's not even close.
Well, because a lot of people would say that don't really understand the intricacies of, like you're saying, about selling and about match play out. You know, people are just taking the athleticism and the adaptability of using your athleticism in a wrestling ring for someone who, like you said, who's been carried, but she can't be a ring general. She's not as entertaining as Kurt Angle, you know, so that's where the comparisons live and die. That's where they die for me. So that's why I can say I see where they're coming from, but I disagree wholeheartedly with this whole Ronda's the next angle. Stop that.
Yeah.
If anything, what's his face? Chad Gable can be Kurt Angle.
Absolutely. That I can see.
Yeah.
And they need to stop shitting on Chad Gable. Because I said it 2 years ago, I'll say it again. That dude is probably the closest thing to Bret the Hitman Hart we have in the current day of wrestling. And they're not letting him do what he has to do.
Nah,
and
he actually has a personality. So
I meant just from a technical basis.
yeah.
Technically speaking, Chad Gable is Bret Hart. And
he's Owen, no. To me, he's Owen.
Interesting.
Because Owen could do everything. Owen could talk. Owen could do every fucking style. Every style of wrestling. You could take him and put him in Japan. You could take him to Mexico. Didn't matter
Which
where
he
you
did.
in the world. Right. He did all of those things, and he was excellent at all of them. Chad Gable has put on banger matches with every type of wrestler. Like, no matter what it was. Like, the spot that he had with Baron Corbin, still to this day, is one of my favorite spots. When he got reversed into the whatever the fuck Baron Corbin shit is. I don't know.
End of days.
End of day. There you go. There you go. I still think the Deep Six should be his finisher because it was cool.
Hell yeah.
But like when he it got reversed, like that spot was just so dope. And yeah, Chad is Owen because he could do everything. And I'm pretty sure what's holding Chad back is the fact that he's small. But it's like if you don't like the fact that you put him on 205 Live, let him be the champion on there.
Oh, him and Gulak could be so good. Has that happened?
Oh,
has that happened?
I don't think so. Has it? Oh, but him and Buddy Murphy, Jesus Christ!
Oh yeah, no, give them 20 minutes. Nope,
bangers,
yeah,
bangers only.
I would need a shower and a cigarette after that. That's ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah.
But no, that's again going back to the match itself with Ronda, Becky, Charlotte. I'm not looking forward to it. I think a lot of us are just wanting to see Becky get her shine and the match be the main event. Right. So I'm with you on that.
About moments.
Yeah, and I think those are the things we remember as wrestling fans. We remember the moments more so than the matches. Going back to what I said earlier in the show about me not being a big fan of Savage Steamboat, it was okay. I've seen it 3 times, once a year for the last 3 years. Not a big deal for me personally. Yeah. I know someone's on their couch now, probably throwing something at the television saying, "What's wrong with me?" But just doesn't click for me. For World of Sport guy or gal, that clicks for them. Cool. But now that we know that Macho pretty much planned out the entire match and was known to be a perfectionist, it's all articulative and it's just drawn out. And I respect it just from that standpoint of going over the match in all of its painful glory.
Right.
But for me, it just doesn't hold up.
Right. Like like even if you go back and look at Savage versus Warrior, right? Yes. That's another one that like he planned down to the T because Warrior was trash. Like not just a trash human being. We know that.
He's a trash wrestler too.
He was a trash wrestler is on top of all of that as well. So like it was just like when we go back and watch a bunch of stuff like Stella and Aaron over at Nacho Dembo, like they've been doing the Every Mania Ever on their Patreon. And like, like they're coming to the same conclusions. Like, this shit, what was, I don't know what y'all are talking about. A lot of this shit was trash. And like, that's the thing. A lot of times if I tell people, it's one of those things that like you had to be part of the moment in order to understand it. It's just like with just about any type of medium. Like there's music that Kat would know. She's not she's not as old as us, but like you had to grow up with certain things for certain things to click with you. So like there are
what?
So like certain kinds of music, or like just even like appreciation for music. Like with us, like so I got to experience all of the mediums almost of music. So vinyl, cassette tape, CD, 8-track, all of that type of stuff. So like how we talked about the other day, how about like with the cartridges for like the Nintendo?
For Nintendo?
Like yeah, it's essentially like the same thing. I also say the same shit about photography. Like you don't appreciate photography until you shoot film, because it's a completely different beast. Like I remember the first time after using digital cameras for like 7-8 years, I got a film camera, and I was like, I took a picture and then I looked at the back of it. I was like, oh shit, I'm not gonna know what this looks like for
until you develop it.
Until I develop the shit. And like it's kind of like the same thing. Like with a lot of this shit that we saw back in like the 90s and late 80s and shit like that, it worked in that time, and there are, feelings connected to it. So like when we go and say, hey, you person that wasn't in this bubble of pro wrestling, go watch this match from 1992. Let me know how you think. They're gonna be like, it wasn't that great. It was pretty boring, because they don't have the same nostalgia attached to it that we do on stuff.
Right.
See, I feel like I've watched a lot of things that like I guess could be construed because I go back and like I make it a point to watch like one of the collections like a month.
Mm-hmm.
So like I watched like last month I watched the Eddie collection.
Mm-hmm.
The month before that I did Brett and Sean, like that whole storyline from like the beginning.
Right.
So like I'm watching like the Rockers, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like I would never have otherwise been able to watch this because I wasn't like around for it. But like it's like some of that stuff isn't bad though. Like and some of it does hold up. It's kind of like me and Mike, like once a year we'll watch the TNA X Division, Joe, AJ, and I think it was Kaz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We watch like once a year, and it's like an older match. It's not like old, but it's been like what, like 10 years since that match happened.
Right.
It's still good. Still a banger.
So, like some of the stuff definitely does still work. So like certain wrestlers, I should say, who were like we kind of point to the same stuff in mixed martial arts as well. Like you had the people that were the prototypes for what we have today. Mm-hmm. So like Shawn Michaels was like the prototype for a vast majority of, who we have now. He could do just about everything and was great at everything. But like, his match. So like for me, shit that still holds up, his ladder matches with Razor Ramon still to this day are fucking bangers. And like you can watch that without any type of context to it, and it's gonna make sense. Right. So when you were watching the Eddie collection, I know they had to leave out Benoit, but like, so when a lot of the story that like, so when you have like new people that are just starting to watch it and they're like, oh yeah, we don't see why you got so many people are like still so attached to Benoit. And, after what he did, of course it was heinous, but it was like, if you didn't grow up, if you didn't see him in WCW at the time, and like have that, and for me, I was at school at the lunch table talking about how awesome whatever match it was that he just had, and then the big thing, oh shit, WCW got bought out by WWF, and then like seeing how like they essentially like seem to scratch and claw their way up to the top, and like there's story and feelings connected to it, but like so there's like with stuff like that, I definitely see why people are still attached to certain things, but it's like if unless you are like super smart extraordinaire, it's like you watch some of the stuff now, it's just like
it's like cringe. Like the story, like some of the some of Brett's promos, I'm like I'm too gay to be watching this. Like, why were you like this? Like, I was like, fuck Shawn Michaels, fucking asshole. And then it was like mid 90s, and I was like,
right.
I was like, come the fuck. I was like, I was rooting for you. Right. And now you're cutting all these homophobic promos. I was on board.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, like a lot of that stuff just like frustratingly doesn't hold up.
That's actually a good question I want to pose to the group. It's like, I guess Brett's your answer, but any other wrestlers that come to mind that we were kind of enveloped with, and as we, as they either evolved or devolved, we were just kind of thinking, why did I ever support you in the first place?
Ric Flair.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't say I liked him, but I was like, this guy. But like, he was cool.
Yeah, like back when I was a kid, Ric Flair, like, because I got to see the, like some of the promos from back, like the classic joints. But it's like, yo, he's a whole scumbag. And like an entire scumbag. And then like just the way he talks about women and so on. It's like the Jay Lethal promo from TNA, which still
everybody loves. Yeah,
that's like all time, like one of the all-time greatest things.
One of the all-time greatest things. Ever. It's amazing. But like, listen to what. So like, and Jay Lethal has his own issues, as things have come out over the years.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like with Rick, like, because he was just like saying something, and Rick was just like, and you, even that fat one over there. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? This is. It's like it was.
But it was a different time. It was a totally different time, and like shit like that was still acceptable, and like it was like funny, and it's like I think, in the great search for equality that is never probably gonna happen. We can dream, but like this is never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's weird because for me it's like I want to like this thing. But then, like, you can't tell people you like that thing. So, like, you're a terrible person. I can't believe that you would like that. And it's like, but it was good.
Look, I've told people, and I've talked about this on other shows, I like Chris Benoit as a wrestler. I've always liked his matches.
Yes.
He's a terrible human being. That will never go away.
Yeah.
But we always say about the performer, it's, would I ever go out of my way to watch a Benoit match saying, like, well, I'm going to go search for it? No. But if it came on and I'm thinking, you know what, this is pretty damn good. Because I remember back in the day when he was the Pegasus Kid wrestling in Mexico. Yeah. And I loved his work back then.
I remember when he broke Sabu's neck in ECW. Like,
how many times have we seen that because of the commercial?
Yeah, exactly.
Sabu suffered a broken neck.
Oh yeah, that, and then like 2 seconds later, and then Kimono Wanalea
danced atop the ECW arena. Yeah,
and then, like, I remember that terrible soundtrack. Like, I was buried on a battlefield. I was like, what are we listening to, bro? What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, no, because like I was like. Growing up as a kid, like I was like a really big Chris Benoit fan. Like I like the theme was a banger. Like the matches were always good. Like
chops are wild. Like, and that's the thing. Like as in ring wise, and this is the thing. So I lived in the area. I lived about 15 minutes away from where his mansion was. Mm-hmm. So like when that happened, that was just like that was madness around here. Like it was just like. Because of what happened, and then you started to hear the conspiracy theorists start to pipe up. And this is before like internet conspiracy theorists, like how it is now. But yeah, like I would never, because for me it's tough. Because like there are so many people that are held in high regard that are trash people that don't get the same. And I'm not defending him at all. This is what he did was inexcusable. There's no way that you can't. But then there's other people like that folks love to talk about, just the good things that they did. Like Gandhi. Gandhi didn't like black people at all. He didn't like black people, had some weird, some very problematic views about women. Like Martin Luther King Jr. has he was a philanderer. Yes. Philanderer extraordinaire.
Yes.
Like, everybody has the dark side, and like with some things, you kind of have to separate the two. And it was like in ring wise, he's absolutely one of the best that was in the past couple of decades. But it's like, yeah, it's because even with I always just say her name or what her wrestling name was, is Woman, but her sister talks about like she was on the Stone Cold podcast and like it was that or Jericho.
It was Jericho's podcast,
Jericho, and she was like, "Yo, like, of course, no, I don't want them to praise it, but like at the same time, the in-ring work was still you can't take that away. Like that was still, he was still one of the best to do it. And like, that's kind of where I am. It's like, I don't want him to be praised, but at the same time, it's like, if it's high quality stuff and like was absolutely one of the biggest moments of that decade, of that era, it's like, shit, it's tough to, you know, take that out. And especially with how we've had all this bullshit going on, you know, do you separate real life from fiction? You know what I'm saying? Like it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, but then you get to the weird point where people start to like, they'll hold one person that did this thing accountable,
right?
But the other person that did the exact same thing, it's like, but he's a good person and we all like him and he does good things in the ring. So we're gonna, and it's like, you can't, the scales have to be even. You can't just be like, this dude is cool, so I'm gonna be okay with it, but this dude sucks, so like, thank God I have a reason to be like, fuck that guy. Like,
it goes back to what we're saying about the wrestling fans' inability to kind of know what they want, because they are constantly flip-flopping allegiances for one, and then they'll down on the sword of their faves for two.
Yes.
So it goes back to saying that right now. I will, again, just to preface to the people listening to Podcast Champs, I don't like what Benoit did, but I can say he was one of the best technical wrestlers I've ever seen in my life. And that's okay for me to say.
Right.
But am I going to defend him as a human being and saying like he should have been a Nobel Peace Prize winner?
Right.
No, not at all. And that's a problem for me, that a lot of people, they'll choose to ignore, and this is all artistry. You can appreciate the artist, but not who they were outside of their art.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. You know, it goes back, and I don't want to put them in the same breath here, but all those people who say, well, Roman's leukemia was a work.
Oh boy, that still hurt. That's
you know, that still irks me, because say what you want about Roman Reigns, the wrestler, but Joe Anoa'i, like, stop that. They are not one and the same. Okay. Right. He is who he is. Joe Anoa'i went to deal with a potentially terminal illness that he had to get medical treatment for. He was afforded that time to do it. I'm glad he's okay. As a human, I'm totally behind him getting back in the ring and doing what he did to cap it off, because of what Dio said earlier. He brought eyes to the product.
Right.
He's the guy you could send out to Good Morning America and get America to tune in to WrestleMania.
Right.
You know, a spokesperson can get it done in the ring, in and out the ring, quote unquote role model type that the company looks for. Am I going to fault him for that? No. That's how he was put in front of the line.
Right.
But for me to come out like everybody else is like, well, this is just WWE's attempt to get Roman over. No, he was already over. Right. It's just y'all, for whatever reason, still don't want him to succeed.
Right.
For whatever reason.
And it's one of those things where like WWE does a lot of fucked up shit. They might be crazy, but they're not stupid.
Yes.
To quote, paraphrase Sheik Luch of the Locks. Like they're not trying to fuck up. Essentially, like that is to fake a disease.
Yeah.
Especially when they have with the whole Susan G. Komen thing, which is a scam. Which is a scam.
Yeah.
If you're going to donate to cancer, do not donate to Susan G. Komen. It is a entire scam. But like when you have the optics on that, and this is the shit that people don't think about. They just think in this bubble of, oh yeah, everything's wrestling. No, it's not. Like if they did that, they could have lost that partnership. Like that's not some shit that you know, like even like the line. I remember when they had the line when Dean said the line about his leukemia, and it was like with that, like when you're working with a cancer society, that's a bad look. So they're not gonna go and fake the shit, because if that happens, they are liable for lawsuits. And while the WWE is very litigious and they win more often than not, they're not dumb enough to do some shit like that.
Right.
No.
Like, that's y'all gotta be smarter.
Yeah, and I think those guys and gals qualify, of the Stop It Brigade. Like, stop it. Just stop acting as if this is a work and we're doing it for ratings. Stop it. You guys and gals are just getting on my nerves.
Yeah, there's no ratings worth that.
Exactly. Yeah, like the bad press. Like it is a high risk, low reward situation.
Yes.
If they just wanted to take Roman off TV for a while, they could have just taken him off of TV for a while without saying anything about leukemia. But the thing is, if you knew anything about Roman Reigns, if you actually read up on him, you would have known that he has lived with this for a while. It happened to him, like it happened when he was at Georgia Tech. Like it's been a thing. Like it's part of his life. It's something he lives with. So like the fact that folks are like, this is all a work. That's all of this. It's still real to me. Damn it, folks. Like, it's
They just want to have like their reason to like get online and like
right.
Shoot their shot. Choo choo.
Yeah, you got to get a hobby. Like,
yeah, and I know none of them. All of the people that were like, "Oh, Roman Reigns, this is a work." It was like, I know y'all don't brush your teeth in the morning or put deodorant on. I know it. I know
without taking a shower to the show, and they've been out all day. Yeah,
right. It's like, oh, y'all, I'm just gonna show up at this show at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon / evening, smelling like just old onions.
Old onions. I usually get the Fritos. I think it's just because it's like Florida.
I think Fritos smell like armpits. I think that's a good.
That's exactly what we're. Yeah, that's why
Fritos and feet. Yeah, that's what it smells like.
Like sometimes, like I've been to events, so I was like, dude, it smells like cheese over here, and I need to move. I am sorry. I was like if you've ever been near the people where it's like it either smells like bad meat or good cheese, it's like, yo, we gotta get out of this place. It's not like
bad meat or good cheese.
Yeah, like y'all gotta shower before you go to shows, people, or at least put some Axe on and some deodorant. Like
like give us a spritz,
something, just a little something, because like, yo, if this is
the tiniest bit of effort. And they do it like they don't think that we're going to be sitting on top of each other the entire night. Like, that we're in each other's laps for the next like 4 hours.
And there's no proper AC in this bitch.
No.
There never is.
If Kat and I can talk about that one show, that one Progress show, there was no AC in that biatch.
Bro.
No AC.
I was like, you picked the worst day to do this. Because I was like, my hair was like... And it's like, hey, you're gonna get proposed to now, and there's no AC in this bitch, and it's about 100 degrees outside. And I was
someone shat their pants.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And someone shat their pants. I was like, and the guy in front of us like passed out, and like me and Chip had to like get him outside, and I was like, what is happening? Yeah.
Dio, this is that Progress show.
Yeah. I remember it now.
Out in that bitch, like they're just like, and there's like 2 stalls in the bathroom. And that is the longest men's room line I have ever seen in my life.
We went across the street to the Spanish restaurant, 1 to get drinks and whatnot, but 2 to use the bathroom because I was not waiting on that line. So, yeah. And Dio, I could tell you that still might be one of the best wrestling events from a in-ring performance and energy-wise I've ever attended.
Right.
Yes.
But from a comfort-wise, nah, bro. Nah.
Terrible. Like at one point I was like, I turned around because there's so many people in there. I turned around and we were like ringside, and there was like still more people like that were I was like, there's too many people in this building with no AC. And then I had to get on the subway in a strange and unfamiliar place, and I was like, well, we did it, guys.
Yeah, no, like that much heat, I would the American accent would have gone away, and I would have just been an
I like
Islander.
bought a hat just to like try to soak up all the sweat from my head. I was like, "Give me one of those hats," and they're like, "Okay," and it's just like over the puff, like it was terrible. It was so hot.
Oh yeah,
It was a good time though. It was a fantastic show. It's one of those things that was like I feel like I'm gonna remember it because it was a good show, but also just because of the venue.
right.
And also because that's when you said yes to your fiance.
Yeah.
Who's yelling? Who's yelling? Who's screaming into the void about Apex Legends? Yes.
Oh, is that what he's yelling about? Okay.
I kind of figured as much. Yeah, like that's what everybody's on now. So
Yeah.
I think screaming about Apex Legends. Is there any last minute firing shots that we want to do? Some pew pew moments?
No, I don't have any like stop it shit, but I have some people that people need to start looking out for.
By all means.
So actually, let me see. Let me get our actual name.
Is this the thing I think it is?
Huh? No.
Okay, good. Because I was not prepared to talk about that.
Oh no, yeah. I think this is just me this week. Chris Statlander.
Yes.
She's awesome. Everything that I've seen from her is dope.
Mm-hmm.
She is insanely athletic
Very
and
much.
has great balance. Like I guess, but she's a stunt woman too.
Yes.
She's got like this space alien person, Mork and Mindy-ish type
Yes.
gimmick, and it's awesome. So yes, go follow her. It is, and her handle is Call Me Chris Stat. CALLMEKRISSTAT. The GIFs, the videos, all freaking fantastic.
I've
Also-
seen her before, so yes, I can attest to that.
Okay. And also, go and donate to Willow Nightingale's GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, she's like all of our cousin. She's just
She really is.
she's just adorable and just yeah. Also, so go check out. So we were talking about DDT Pro earlier. So their women's is Tokyo Joshi Wrestling,
mhm.
Pro Wrestling. All of it's awesome. It's all great. It's there's a lot of character work type stuff. So like Maki Ito is like everybody's favorite idol. She was if you know anything about like Japan, they have like groups called idols.
Mhm.
And there's like a whole industry behind it. But basically, she was like a singing pop star idol, and then she left that to be pro wrestler.
Cool.
Character work, awesome. Miyu Yamashita, who's like the current champion, awesome. All the flashy kicks and fantastic stuff. There's just go look up. If you follow, matter of fact, go to Total Divas Eps. Follow.
Oh, I like their side. Yeah, I do like
Yeah.
their.
Follow Total Divas Eps on the Twitters. Always posting, different GIFs and so on and so forth. And just look up their handle plus hashtag TGPW, and you'll see all types of fantastic stuff. Whether it be like Yuka Sakazaki, who is the magical flying girl. She maybe weighs 90 pounds,
Yeah.
but she like flies. It's ridiculous. That and like there's another one, but she's like her whole gimmick is that she's like a bunny and she dresses up in like Lolita clothing, but her stomps are just some of the most sickening looking things on earth. Makes Finn Balor's look like trash, which it is, but I digress. Those are my recommendations for
Okay, Kat, you got any recommendations of people we need to be looking at?
Um,
go look up old Norman Smiley because he was awesome
Before the big wiggle?
before the big wiggle. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I was gonna say Willow because I feel really bad.
Yeah.
She's an angel. I'm
She's
like,
so nice.
And she's gotten
Like-
so much more improved in the ring too. So
yeah. I'm like, can I just get it? You want to borrow my neck? Like, I'm good. Like, I don't.
oh,
Need it.
take my neck.
If you want to borrow mine, I'm good. I've been working on my traps. I got you. My goal is to be able to like take like a Kota Ibushi spike and just totally roll out of it and be fine.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's what I want. That's all I need. I want my neck just to be like just all shoulder.
Like Kurt Angle?
Yeah,
Can't fucking
can't kill me.
Every time Kurt Angle comes out, I'm just like, oh my God.
You have
He's
no
just
neck.
I'm like,
because like Ishii doesn't have a neck either.
right. But like Ishii can at least turn it though. Kurt
No, he
can
can
turn his whole body. Like it's bad.
It's bad, yeah.
Like he shows up every time he does like a bump. When he gets back up, he's like, oh God.
You're terrible.
But no, look at it.
No,
It's fine. It's only funny because it's true.
That's why I'm not even saying anything because I know it's true.
Oh my God.
It's so...
He like literally sits up like an old man. Like he's doing his first crunch in like 20 years.
So if you've seen the Justice League movie when Batman got up, he was like, oh God, oh shit. I was like, it's Kurt. It's Kurt.
Kurt Angle is Batman.
Oh my God. He would fit the cowl.
Yeah, especially like the old school one where they couldn't turn their neck.
Yeah.
The old Michael Keaton one where you have to turn your whole body to turn around.
Exactly. Exactly.
So my person to keep your eye on was last night actually at Sabotage Wrestling in New Braunfels. A person that's been trained, two people who have been trained by Booker T from his school.
God's work out here
he really is. The High-End, who is the Sabotage world champion. She is the Renaissance Woman on Twitter. I've seen her 4 times. Mm-hmm. She has gotten exponentially better all 4 times I've seen her. And she has a presence. She has a good moveset. I found out about her when she wrestled Su Yung in a no DQ match. And she more than held her own, especially going through a table. I thought last night she wrestled, oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue. She wrestled someone, Kiera Hogan. That's who she wrestled. And they put on a pretty damn good match last night. So keep your eye on at _ the Hyan, THEHYAN. Another one was Rachel, whatever however the hell the announcer wants to announce it. I put it on my Twitter. She's also trained by Booker T. She is a cross between a Bella Twin meets the model Rick Martel. And I love to hate her. And she's doing great heel work to the point where the person she's feuding with during intermission, she sees her and pushes her out of the way during intermission.
Nice.
Like that's still keeping it going. So yeah, I like that. So those are 2 people from Booker T's promotion, Reality of Wrestling to keep your eye on. I think those 2 kind of stood out above everybody else. And Jazz is still wrestling to this day. We saw her last night. And Jazz wrestled with her gum in her mouth the whole time. Didn't look like she broke a sweat. Looked like it was child's play. And she wrestled, I forget her name, and I'll get it in post-production, who turned out to be 17 years old. Roxy. Her name is Roxy. Another one of Booker T students who has been kind of going up and down the Texas landscape. For her age, really damn good. So those are 3, Rachel, Roxy, and Hyan are 3 people to keep your eye on down in Texas. So those are my people to watch.
Sweet. He's got just such a great track record when it comes to training people. Like, just
do I really have to move to Texas? Like,
right?
I gotta go to Texas.
Real quick, actually, you know what? There was one thing I wanted to talk about.
Go ahead.
So we didn't really touch the whole thing with Kofi losing his title opportunity.
Okay, we can touch that. Go ahead.
It opened up old wounds from
Booker T.
And like the way that it was presented, like that took me. It was, and I get that they were trying to do that, But it was like, yeah, after it's Black History Month, or right after Black History Month, you guys just pulled that bullshit with Hulk Hogan. It was like, you're not really doing this the right way. Like, I get what you guys are going for, especially if there is a payoff for it. But like, that opened up so many wounds. And then like, even when at the end of the pay-per-view, when you have Big E, Kofi, and Xavier, and like and Big E was like, get your flowers. I shed a tear. Cause like, that's like give your flowers to people while they're still here. It was just like, for Black people, it's like, it's right here. It's right here. Right here. But I just hope that there's a payoff. That's it. I just hope that there's a payoff. That's it. That's all I want.
If this leads to Kofi getting the belt at Mania,
that's all I want.
Even if he has it for like one title defense and he loses it back to Bryan, dude, at least he has his Mania moment.
Next night, he could lose it the same night. I just want him to have the belt. That's it. He's won every the belt. Just give him the belt, even if it's for a short period of time, and then Vince decides, there's somebody white more deserving than you. It's like,
did you say quite more or white more?
White. Quite more. Yes.
Quite more deserving.
Sounds about white.
Sounds about white.
So yeah, like that was it
hit my soul. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah,
it did. Like when it happened, I was just like, I get what they're going for, but like,
and the fact that it was KO too, I'm thinking, you use Kevin Owens.
They picked the one person they knew that we couldn't get fully mad about.
Right.
Because they know. They're like, these brown people fucking love Kevin Owens. And
exactly.
You're absolutely right.
It's like low key Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens kind of has black facial features. Like,
no.
Like, did you see those artist renderings of him in different cartoons and he's always portrayed as like a character of color?
Yeah. Because he's got black facial features. like if you shaved his hair and made him brown and kept the beard, he would look like so many black dudes that we know. Like you're like, oh yeah, I saw him at the barbershop. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's cousin Kevin. Shit. Yeah.
Is that akin to when Owen was in the Nation? And we accepted it. Owen was in the Nation because he was just
accepted it because Owen was Owen. Owen was the prototype. He was like, I know everybody loves to talk about Shawn Michaels, but for me, it was Owen. Owen was that guy back then. Like usually I'd be like, why they got this token white guy in there? But Owen was amazing. So it was just like, fuck it. I rock with it. Owen's invited to the barbecue in the afterlife. Like
truth.
He's there. And he can go up there first and get a plate too. We're like, you know what? He earned it. He earned it.
Owen gets invited to the cookout in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He deserves it. Like he's chilling up there with Bad News Brown.
My man.
And like all that, Big Vis, like they're all up there just chumming it up right now.
JYD, yeah, they're all just chomping up right now.
Yeah. But like I said, for me, Owen was that dude. So it's like, you know what?
But that goes back again with the Kevin Owens thing. They picked the one dude that the fans wouldn't really hate on because it could have been, what's his stupid self? Randy Orton. They could have imagine AJ Styles, the vitriol that they would have, if you would have picked that guy.
I would have probably canceled my subscription and like.
Oh yeah, no. Like had it been Randy Orton, I would have canceled. Like I'm jumping between registrations right now anyway because I'm not giving them my money. But like,
so you have like 7 free trials,
bruh. I'm going to at least 6 of them at this point. Shit.
Oh my God, you're gonna run out email addresses.
No, I will not. No, I will not.
Dio's got like 20 burner emails just for that.
Oh my God.
So right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In just this browser alone, I've got 7.
Oh my man.
Yeah. I got one for everything that I do. So, but yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Also, okay, real quick thing.
Yeah.
So with the whole Kobe thing, right? He would be the first black champion. period.
Yes.
And why I say that, and I know people will argue with me. I really don't care. Go argue with your mom.
Oh, shit.
When it comes to like The Rock is half black, but
Yes.
when it comes to the WWE, The Rock's
He's
only
Samoan.
black during February. It's the only time. The only time that they ever mention a fucking thing about his father is in February. The rest of the time, he's Samoan. That's all they ever talk about. They
Right.
only talk Nia Jax. They only have her as Samoan. She is half white. Roman Reigns, half white. Like, but in WWE, you are only one thing. It's only one thing. And with The Rock, he was only like, even when he was in the Nation, yes, he was. But once they separated him from the Nation, and before he was with the Nation, it was all about his Samoan heritage. So it's like, like y'all can argue with me if you want. I'm going to tell you to go argue with your mom. But yeah, this will be the first time that you've not only have you had, it'll be your first black champion. You'd have your first champion from Africa. Born like it's yeah, like there's levels. So many levels. Give Kofi the goddamn belt. Shit.
I think that's
Just with a
I
knife.
think
You're like,
yeah.
Do it.
Do it. Give me the belt. Give it to him now.
Like shit. It just damn it. I don't want to have to roll up on Connecticut like that. Shit. I'll burn the whole fucking city. I'll burn the whole fucking state down. Shit.
I'm trying to think. Do I know anyone that lives in Connecticut? No, I don't. Okay, do whatever you gotta do, bro.
Oh my god.
I think on that note, as Dio burns down Connecticut, it's a good time to log off here on podcast.
Yeah.
With Damien, Dio, and Kat. Thank you all so much for putting up with our shenanigans. Find Kat on Twitter at ArtixCore, myself at DamonG347, and Dio at I'm Just DEO. And we'll see you next time, folks. Later, and give Kofi the belt.
Give goddamn belt.
Give him the belt.
Give him the belt.